So we have a few sections left, which are big. And many people say these are the most difficult sections. Not this one, after this one. We have limits, continuity, asymptotes. Okay. So I don't even know what to do with you guys at this point. Should I be hopeful? Should I be hopeful about the final exam, or should I get scared about the final exam? Yes. If you couldn't do only 11 questions with 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes, I gave you mostly. 72 or something. Yeah, 72, 74. Lowest, 32. No, 26. I'll talk about the exam. First, let me do the math. Otherwise, the entire class, you have no idea what I will talk about. So we learned about derivative. We learned about implicit differentiation and where we use derivative in our lives. We did related rate, the application of the derivative. Today, we are going to do derivative in financial field. How do you use derivative in the financial field? So we're going to talk about the marginal function and rate of change. Marginal function and rate of change, they both means derivative. Which two papers? Or to take notes?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can have it. You're telling me you're there without having any paper?
I haven't touched my iPad like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Actually, no, a month actually.
No wonder your exams were done.
Huh?
I said no wonder your exams were done.
No, right?
If you haven't touched.
No, the review sheet was like kind of like it didn't make sense. The review
didn't make sense?
It did not look like the question on the test.
Real.
Yes.
Once you get your exam back, compare the exam with the review sheets.
I saw the review sheet. It wasn't like the test. If not, I would have got like 100.
It doesn't seem like it. That's why I'm saying compare that. Compare. And we'll see if it doesn't give you anything extra.
I was thinking after the test, it didn't look like it.
So the derivative, all you have to do is remember the rules. As long as you know your rules, you should be fine. But surprisingly, you guys forgot your rules. Okay, anyway, so in real life, about monetary issues, where do you use the derivative? Let's look at a simple economic situation. If you're a businessman, you're selling donuts at a small refreshment stand, and you want to calculate your expense. So first of all, suppose you have rent, utility bills, insurance, and other fixed costs. If it's $800 per month, and if you want to buy your donut from wholesale with 50 cents per piece, then we know from before the total cost per month for your donut stand is 0.5x. X is how many donuts you're going to buy, plus 800. So 800 is the fixed cost. 0.5 is price of donut per donut. And X is how many donuts you're going to have. Now the slope here, you see, that slope is the marginal cost. For a linear function, marginal cost is constant. It means it doesn't change. But for nonlinear, marginal cost is different at every point for every number. So previously, when I talked about marginal cost, we said the marginal cost is cost for one extra item. If you remember, I don't know if you remember or not. The marginal cost was the cost for one extra item. We did the example with 100 and 101, if you remember or not. Now, everything in short is that when you see the word marginal, from now on, assume you're talking about the derivative. So if in the question you see find marginal revenue, it means what's the derivative of the revenue. If they ask you to find marginal cost, it means what's the derivative of your cost function. If they ask you to find marginal profit, it means what's the derivative of your profit function. So from now on, the word marginal represents derivative. That's the bottom line. Marginal means derivative. So sometimes, life we want to maximize something. Sometimes we want to minimize something. We want to maximize the profit, but we want to minimize the cost. That's the real life. We always want to get maximum amount of money in return, but we want to spend the least amount of money. So maximizing, minimizing has a relationship with marginal cost or marginal revenue or the word derivative. If you want to find maximum of something or minimum of something, you can take the derivative of the function and then set the derivative equals to 0. That will tell you where do you have a maximum or where do you have a minimum of your function. Why is that? Because when you set the derivative equals to 0, that means in your function, you have a bump. That time, the derivative is 0. So when you have a bump, there are two situations. Either you have an upward bump, downward bump so that you have a maximum, or you have an upward bump, so you have a minimum. That's why if you want to find maximum or minimum of something, take the derivative, set the derivative equals to 0, and that will tell you what do you need, or how much money, or how many items you need to maximize your profit or minimize the cost. Blah, 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 blah. Previously, we learned that profit is revenue minus cost. So if you want to find the derivative of the profit, basically you have to find the derivative of the revenue and derivative of the cost. And to maximize the profit, we set the profit function, the derivative of the profit equals to 0. That means revenue derivative minus cost derivative is 0. That tells us when the revenue derivative equals to the cost derivative, that is when you get the maximum profit.
Economics, is there like another D over in respect of what? So they have time and X.
And now here we do the derivative respect to items, which is X. So you don't need to write dt, it's dx on the denominator, unless they tell you it's about something else. But in monetary problem, our derivative, we take respect to how many items we have, or how many items you're going to buy or sell based on that. So story. Previously, profit is when revenue equals to cost. Sorry, break even is when revenue equals to cost. But now we are saying that maximum profit is when the derivative of the revenue is derivative of the cost. Blah, 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 blah. Same things again and again. So anytime from now on, if you see the word maximum or minimum, all you have to do is think about horizontal tangent line. Take the derivative, set the derivative equals to 0, solve for x. Depending on what they're asking, sometimes you just solve for x and you stop, or you have to solve for y also based on if they're asking for something different. For example, this type of scenario. The cost in dollars of producing X units of production is given by C of X. find the value of x when the marginal cost is 0. So they gave us cost function and they want us to find how many x we have when we have marginal cost. So what's the word marginal means? Derivative. So basically, they're telling us when the derivative of the cost function is 0, what's the x value at that point? So they gave us the cost function. They're asking, hey, find the derivative of the cost. So C of x is 2x squared minus 2x plus 9, whole thing divided by square root of x. To find the derivative, which is p prime of x, and we are doing it respect to x. You have two choices. Either you can do quotient rule, because this is a divide thingy, or you can use power rule. If you do use power rule, you can break this down into 3 pieces. The first term divided by second term, the second term divided by the first term divided by the denominator, second term divided by the denominator, third term divided by denominator. It's up to you which method you want to use. So which method you want to use? Divide them or use the quotient rule? Any suggestion? No suggestion? Then I'll go with the quotient rule. The quotient rule says, let's suppose the first function is on the top is f, the bottom function on the bottom is g. So if f is 2x squared minus 2x plus 9, what is f prime?
Right.
4x minus 2. And if the bottom function, square root of x, which is x to the 1/2 power, what's the derivative of the bottom function?
One, two, x per week.
So 1/2 x to the negative 1/2, that gives us 1/2 square root of 1x. So it doesn't matter what type of function they give you. Whenever you have a negative power, bring it in the denominator next to the number on the coefficients. So C prime of x, what's the quotient rule? So f prime is 4x minus 2, and you have to put parentheses times the g function, which is square root of x, minus derivative of the g, which is 1/2 square root of x, times the f function, which is the big thingy. Let me put it here. 2x squared minus 2x plus 9. Whole thing is divided by the denominator squares. The denominator is square root of x, the square root of x squared. Then comes the hardest part, simplifying this. 4x square root of x minus 2 square root of x, when you distribute, minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 9 divided by Actually, never mind, don't distribute. 4x minus 2 square root of x. Whole thing divided by, what is square root of x squared? X. Now, this looks really bad. But it's not too bad if you look for same denominator. In order to have the same denominator, we want to have the same denominator on the below the first numerator, what we have on the second denominator. We want the same thing here in order to combine them two. So if you want to have the same thing here, we need to multiply this by 2 square root of 2. So 2 square root of 2. Not 2 square root of 2. 2 square root of x. So we get 2 square root of x. 4x minus 2 times 2 square root of x squared. One of them is here, the other one is here. So we have the same thing squared. Minus, when you subtract the entire thing, all this sign will change. So minus 2x squared plus 2x minus 9. Here, dividing by x means you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So times 1 over x. So we get 4x minus 2 times 2x. The square root and square cancel out. Minus 2x squared plus 2x minus 9. And the denominator we have 2x times square root of x. You multiply this with that. You get the denominator. And now we can distribute without having any problem. We get 4 times 2, 8x squared minus 4x minus 2x squared plus 2x minus 9. You can combine the denominator, but you don't have to. You can just leave it alone. We get 2x squared term, 2x term. So 6x squared minus 2x minus 9 divided by 2x square root of x. That's the final derivative. But the question is asking, what's the value of x when the marginal cost is 0? Means we need to set this equals 0. And then solve for x. Did I make any mistake anywhere? We have 4x minus 2. 4x minus 2. 2x squared minus 2 plus 9. 2x squared minus 2 plus 9. Okay. So 4x minus 2 multiplied by the denominator minus 2x squared minus 2x plus 9 multiplied by 1/2 square root of x. So 4x minus 2 square root of x. And then we multiply top and bottom by 2 square root of x, which is 2 times x, 4x minus 2. And you're subtracting 2x squared plus 2x plus 9. So you go and use quadratic formula to solve for x. Do you have a whole number? No. This is not factorable, so you go to quadratic formula. Oh, when you solve for x, the denominator get vanished. you're left with only numerator, 6x squared minus 2x minus 9 equals 0. So x equals negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac whole thing divided by 2a. So you have two choices. If this question in the calculator part, then you go and put this in the calculator, hit solve, and calculator will tell you the answer automatically if you're using TI-89. But if you are using TI-94, TI-84, then you cannot have this option. You have the quadratic formula option or the graphing option. It's up to you which method you want to use. So if you do use graphing option, then you'll have something like this. And your answer will be this one. One of them will be positive, one of them will be negative. You're going to disregard the negative one because X is number of items. The only choice will be the plus result. If you're using TI-89, then they'll give you two answers. One is plus and one is minus. You're going to accept only the plus number, not the minus one. However, if you don't want to use any one of those, but you're going to use the quadratic formula, then you need to complete the thing. So let's do it real quick. We have negative b. So negative, negative 2, plus minus negative 2 squared. Our a here is 6, b is negative 2, and c is negative 9. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, whole thing divided by 2 times a. So you get 2 plus minus 4. This minus 4 and minus 9 will give you positive answer. Tell me what's the answer. 4 times 6 times 9. How much? 216. So when you add, you get 220. 2 plus minus square root of 220 over 12. Now you're going to disregard this negative one because negative one will give us a negative result. The only thing you're going to accept is 2 plus square root of 220 over 12. Now go to the calculator and find out how much is this. $1.4. So if it's in the multiple choice part, then if you see 1.4, you're going to circle 1.4. And if it's not in the multiple choice part, then realistically 1.4 is not possible, right? Because X is number of items. Number of items. So you need at least 2 items to have the maximum amount, maximum profit. Not maximum profit, the marginal cost. So this is realistic. Realistically, it should be 2, but if you have a multiple choice with 1.4, pick that. Okay. So again, most likely this comes in the calculator part. So based on your calculator, your life either will be easier or harder. The next one, again in the calculator part, but it's up to you. Even if you do this calculator part, you must show all the work. Otherwise, no credit. So to do the work anyway. The calculator is only for the calculation at the end. The same situation is here, not the same, similar. The cost of producing X items is given by this function. It says determine the marginal cost when 15 items are produced. So it's a little bit different. What is your marginal cost if the cost function is this? And what's the marginal cost for 15 items? What is this 15? What is given here? Is it X value, cost, Y value, what? X. So they're asking, hey, find the marginal cost first, means find the derivative of the cost, and then substitute it X with 15. Which should be easier. So what's the derivative of the cost? Mm. 60x plus 10 So this one we can rewrite as 200 times x to the negative 1. What's this? 200 x to the negative 1. So what's the derivative of 200 x to the negative 1? Negative 200, negative 2, which is 60x plus 10 minus 200 over x squared. And now we want to replace this x with 15 because this is what they're telling us. What is your marginal cost to produce 15 items? So it's 600 times 15 plus 10 minus 200 divided by 15 squared. Now you're allowed to use calculator and find out how much is this. Mm-hmm. 909.3. It says 909.11. How do you get 3? $60 times 15 plus 10 is subtracting 200 divided by 15 squared. 909.11. How do you get 3? What did you punch? 15 square.
Yeah.
It's 225. 275, you said? 225. 15 square is 225. And this time we don't round because this is money. So it's valid. $909.11. Any question on this? So remember, marginal means derivative. Marginal cost means derivative of the cost. Marginal revenue means derivative of the revenue. Marginal profit means derivative of the profit. So anytime you see marginal means derivative. And anytime you see maximum minimum means derivative is equal to 0. Just like the horizontal tangent line. Anytime we see horizontal tangent line means derivative equals to 0. Average cost, we already did that before, right? Average cost is the cost divided by how many items you have. So average cost is cost function divided by x. What do you have here? Suppose the average cost function is given by this. What is the marginal cost for 2 items? So they gave us average cost, but they want us to find the marginal cost. What is marginal cost? Derivative of cost, the normal cost, the total cost. Did they give us the total cost? They did not. They gave us average cost. So what is our first step to do? Good job. From average, we need to find what is the normal cost function. Not the average cost, was the total cost function. So total cost, if you want to find, you have to multiply both sides by x. So they cancel out. The total cost is x times the average cost. So x times this cost, which is given, which is x squared plus 9x plus 8x over x, but they cancel out. So it's 8. And now we can find the marginal cost. Marginal cost is derivative of the cost function. So what's the derivative of our cost function? 2x plus 9. And they're asking what's the marginal cost for 2 items. So what do? We replace our x with 2 here. So 2 times 2 plus 9, which is 4 plus 9, which is 13 items. So this is a little bit tricky one. They gave us one information, but they want us to give them a totally different information.
Why you multiply by it?
Because this function is the average cost function, but they're asking for marginal cost. Marginal cost is the derivative of the total cost function.
Why?
Because here, average cost is total cost divided by x. They gave us average cost, but we are solving for total cost. How can you solve for total cost? Marginal cost. Oh, cost is money, not items. Sorry, my bad. So it should be $13. So they gave us average cost, but they want us to find the derivative of this cost function. That means to solve for cost function, we need to get here the denominator x. So multiply both sides by x, this cancel out, we get the cost function equals x times the derivative, x times the average cost function.
What does the y?
It's average. You're talking about this bar, right? This bar represents the average. Like when you have x bar, it is average of x. So when you have c bar, it means average of cost. And they're telling you here, the average cost is given by this. So from before, the profit is revenue minus cost. And if you don't have the revenue, then if you don't have the cost, no, for revenue, it's number of items times the price per item. But if you don't know price per item, you can use the demand function. Demand per item times number of items. Now, based on this, we are going to have marginal revenue, marginal profit. And then whatever information is given, either we use X times P as the revenue or X times demand as the revenue. So what type of question we have? Huh? This P is profit. On the bottom is price per item. Price per items. So price is denoted by small p and profit is denoted by big P, even though they both are same. So what type of question they ask about the revenue and profit? If for X units, the revenue function is given by this, at what level of production the marginal revenue would be 0? So they give us revenue function. It's clear, right? Revenue function. What does this mean? At what level of production? What they're asking for? The money or number of items? Level of production is what? Items. Good. And items means X. They're asking for X value. For which X value, the marginal revenue will be 0. So what is marginal revenue? Derivative of revenue. So marginal revenue would be 0, means derivative of the revenue would be 0. So they give us the revenue function. R of X equals 10X minus X squared over 40. X squared over 40 is same as 1 over 40 times X squared. Why did I write this way? Because 1 over 40 is a constant, is a coefficient. So we're going to leave it alone and take the derivative of the square function. So marginal revenue. So this is only revenue and this is marginal revenue. What is marginal revenue? What's the function for that? What's the derivative of the revenue function? So 2 times 40 x to the 2 minus 1, which is 1. In other words, it's 10 minus 1 over 20x. And it says should be 0. So we set it equals 0. And now you see this algebra. It goes to get this x alone. So how do you solve for x? Huh? Say it louder, Dimitri. Say it again, I didn't hear you. You don't have to distribute. You can simply, at least what? We can minus 10. So 1 over 20 is just a coefficient. We can leave it alone. We get negative 1 over 20x is negative 10. How can we get rid of this 1 over 20 negative? We can divide or we can multiply. Multiply by -20 on both sides. So -20 cancel out. We get our x alone. What is -10 times -20? 200. So we are going to get marginal revenue when we have 200 items sold. Any question? All of these are finalism questions. So one of these scenarios will be in the final. Actually, they give a few scenarios from the derivative. One, you're going to have related rate, what we did in 2.10, and there will be at least 2 from 2.7. The next one is asking the demand is given by this function. So they give us demand function, demands. But what they're asking for? Find what? Marginal revenue. They gave us completely different thing. They gave us demand, but they're asking for marginal revenue. So how can you connect these two concepts? They gave us demand, but they want us to find the derivative of the revenue. So how can you connect these two information? So first we need to find the revenue. If you find the revenue, then you can find the derivative of the revenue. So revenue is X times demand. It's X times price. If price is not given, but demand is given, then it's X times demand. So that's how you relate the two information. Revenue is X times demand, and then we can take the derivative of the revenue. So revenue is X times 24 divided by square root of X, which is 24x divided by square root of X. And we can simplify this. The square root of X is square root of X times square root of X. And we have divided by square root of X. One of them cancel out. So our revenue is simply 24 square root of X, which is 24x to the 1/2. You don't have to simplify. If you don't, then you have to use quotient rule. But if you do simplify, it is power rule. The marginal revenue. What's the marginal revenue here? (24 times 1/2 x to the -1/2. And then we find half of 1/2, half of 24. 12 over square root of X. They want us to find the marginal revenue when we have X equals 16. Marginal revenue when X is 16. So 12 square root of 16, which is 12 over 4, which is $3. Revenue is money, so marginal revenue also is a money. Any question? Yeah? Square root of x times square root of x is square root of x squared, right? The square root and square cancel out, you get x. In other words, you can split x into two pieces, square root of x times square root of x. Why do we care? Because we can cancel the denominator, then we don't have to use the quotient rule. Or you can do this. We have 24x divided by x to the 1/2 power. Square root means 1/2. In division, we subtract the power. So we get 24x to the 1 minus 1/2, which is 24x to the 1/2. Either you can use the power rule, not the power, like exponent rules, to simplify them, or you can just break them into two pieces and then cancel them. But this will be the non-calculator part, so you cannot use a calculator. So how many more questions we have? Oh, man. I'm tired already. The revenue in dollars for selling X units is given by this function. So this is our revenue function. X times 3,000 minus 5x. They're asking to maximize the revenue. Find the number of units. What is number of units? X value or the Y value? X. Find X which maximize the revenue. So how do we maximize the revenue? What did I say at the beginning of the class? Maximizing or minimizing mean what? Derivative is 0. Derivative is 0. So in other words, we are going to take the derivative of your revenue function. Whatever you got, set it equals to 0. Solve for x. You can do it on your own. The answer is x equals 400. Oh, I should do it. Yeah, I should do it because this is a different question. This is like question number 1 in your exam on the extra credit part. Okay, Johnny, you told me I didn't teach this in class, so I'm teaching it now. Our revenue, let me rewrite this using power. So we have x and then 3,000 minus 5x to the 1/2 power. What do you observe here? How many functions we have? Definitely 2. One of them is here, one of them is there. So when you have 2 functions, how they are connected? Multiplication or division? Multiplication. So when you have 2 functions multiplying together, which derivative rule we have to use? You have 2 functions multiplying together. Product rule. So product is your main, the original rule you have to apply. F and G. In the product rule, we are going to use the chain rule because of the G. But chain rule is not the original one. The original one is product. Why? Because we have 2 functions together. It's a multiplication. So you do it on the side. Let me erase this. Our F function is X, and let's say our G function is 3,000 minus 5x to the 1/2 power. So what is F prime? 1. And now what is G prime? G prime needs the chain rule because we have a composite function for G. So 1/2 comes down. Keep the inside same. Actually, I need more space. So let me do it here on the right page. Your G function is 3000 minus 5x to the 1/2. The G prime, this 1/2 comes down, 1/2 minus 1. That's the outer part. 1/2, and then 1/2 minus 1 is negative 1/2. When you take the derivative of the outer part, you cannot touch the inside. Derivative is very weak. It can change only one function at a time. So here it's changing the outer power. So you have to leave the inner function same. Once you're down with the outer power, then you can multiply by the derivative of the inner power, the inner function. What's the derivative of the inner function? -5. And you're multiplying, not adding, multiplying here. If you combine, we get 1/2 times -5, so -5/2. And since we have a negative power here, so it has to come down on the denominator next to denominator 2. So it's square root of 3000 minus 5x. That's the derivative of G. So when is product rule, it's F prime G plus G prime F.
Oh, I did.
You see?
That's the.
So F prime is 1. If G function is 3000 minus 5x with the 1/2 power plus this entire thing is a G prime. So -5/2 square root of 3000 minus 5x times your F function, which is x. So this is the derivative. You need to set the derivative equals to 0. So we get 3000 minus 5x under the square root minus 5x/2, 3000 minus 5x equals 0. And now it's algebra, no more calculus here. One page. So you can take the same denominator, or you can move them to two sides and then get to the denominator. It's up to you. 3000 minus 5x. If you add this quantity to both sides, you get 5x equals 2 square root of 3000 minus 5x. That's why if you multiply both sides by the denominator, 2 times 3000 minus 5x, 2 times 3000 minus 5x. If you multiply both sides, the denominator cancel out. On this side, you get 2 times square root of 3000 minus 5x squared. And on the right side, you get the 5x in the numerator. So you have this square root thingy twice. So I wrote it the 2 power. Why? Because you can cancel them to that one. So we get 2 times 3,000 minus 5x equals 5x. We distribute, you get 6,000 minus 10x equals 5x. And then what do you do? Or you can add 10x. But they cancel out. We get 6,000 equals 15x. And the last thing is divided by 15. So x equals 400. 15 goes to 64 times, and then you get 00. So here, calculus is only one line. The rest is algebra. And I noticed you are bad at algebraic manipulation. You don't even know how to multiply fraction or how to subtract 1 from fraction. That was really disappointing. Any question on this? So I'm leaving this velocity for next class. How do you get -5 square? You cannot cancel without having any algebraic manipulation. Like, did you cancel here or here? There, I just put it. You cannot cancel until you have the same denominator. So you have to have the same denominator and just multiply the numerator and denominator by this denominator. And then they will cancel out 2 times this quantity. You can just randomly cancel them. The last question. To produce X units, it costs 20X plus 80. And the demand is given by P equals 30 minus 0.1X. So they give us the cost function and the demand function. What price will maximize the profit? They gave us cost, they gave us demand, but they want us to maximize profit. So how do you connect that? How can you connect cost and demand with profit? Good job. Revenue is no profit. Profit is revenue minus cost. Unfortunately, they did not give us revenue. They gave us the cost. So we need to know what is revenue. What is revenue in terms of demand? X times demand. So even though they didn't give us the profit information directly, but they gave us enough information to find the profit function. So our profit is X times 30 minus 0.1X. And we're going to subtract the cost, which is 20X plus 80. Distribute here, distribute the negative. We get 30X minus 0.1X squared minus 20X minus 80. These two lactose. So negative 0.1X squared And how many x's we get after combining? How much? How many? Plus or minus? Plus 10x minus 80. Now we have a profit function from the given demand and cost. But they want us to maximize the profit. How do you maximize profit? We can take the derivative and instead it equals to 0. The derivative of profit. In other words, it's profit prime. Or let me write this out. Maximum profit means derivative of profit equals 0. So derivative of profit, what's the derivative of profit? Negative 0.2 x to the. So you subtract 1, so you get 1 power plus 10. We set it equals to 0 to maximize, and then you solve for x. Subtract 10, subtract 10. We get negative 0.2 x equals negative 10. Divided by negative 0.2, divided by negative 0.2. If it's in the calculator portion, your life is easy. You just have to divide. If it's not in the calculator, then you need to know what is this. This thing is same as 10 divided by 2 over 10. The 0.2 is 2 over 10. So you do keep, change, flip. You get 10 times 10 over 2, which is 10 times 5. So you get, wait. Did he make a mistake somewhere?
No, for the 1 times 2.
0.1 times 2 is 0.2. So we have, no, it's 0.1. 0.1 x and then 30 minus. So 30x minus 0.1 x squared. 20x. What price? Oh, price. That's right. It's a price. What price will maximize the profit? So when you maximize the profit, we are getting number of items. So this is number of items. But they're not asking for number of items. They're asking for the price. At what price? So price is given by the demand function here. 30 minus 0.1x. So we get 30 minus 0.1 times 50. Again, if it's in the calculator portion, your life is easy. But if it's not, you need more algebraic knowledge. 30 times 0.1 means 1 over 10. So you get 30. This is 30 minus 0.1 x. So this is minus. 0.1 means 1 over 10. Our x is 50. So I get 30 minus 5. That gives us $25. Price. Ugh. Any question on this question? No? Okay. Now you have only one choice. I mean, two choices. I'm going to give you a makeup only for this time. And
Everyone did that.
almost everyone failed.
Yeah.
Only 3 passed.
Why?
You'll see. So I'll give you makeup. The only available time I have is next week, Tuesday at 12:30. If you can make it, good. If you cannot, sorry, I cannot do anything for you. This is the only time available.
Is it like in the office?
No, it will be in a classroom. So next week, Tuesday is 25th. 25th.
I'll be getting out that.
Yeah, I'm going to give it now. So Tuesday at 12:30 next week. And there will be no partial credit.
No possible.
No partial credit. I can give extra credit, but no partial credit. Okay? Because partial credit takes time. For no partial credit, I can grade easily. Partial credit is hard.
You have
Of course. That's why this is the makeup. I cannot give you a makeup during class because we have to finish the rest. So 1 hour 15 minutes. 12:30 to 1:45.
125?
1:45.
145 questions?
No, that's not.
With how many questions?
Next week, Tuesday, 12:30 to 1:45. The same amount as the original exam.
Are you gonna make it easier?
I'm going to give you almost same exam. I'm just going to change the numbers.
All right.
So as long as you study your exam, you can do better. Okay. And this is the only option I have. If you cannot make it, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go to staff.
So I'm going to give you exam back. Make sure you learn every question because all of these are final exam questions. So if you don't know how to do them, you may not be able to pass the final exam. Okay? So next week, Tuesday, 12:30, not in this room. I'm going to give you the room number later. Okay? I have to find the room. I'm going to give you the room number later.
Yo, who got the highest?
The Dominica.
Who's that?
Doing what?
Who's the
If you want to make up, if you want to have a makeup, go ahead. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
Who's the memory?
Highest one. DC. Dominica.
Yo, sending boys the highest.
Asla.
Yo.
Almost everyone feels like this is the worst exam in my entire teaching life.
How long have you been teaching?
Huh?
How long have you been teaching?
Since 5 years.
5 years. It's still
It's 19,
Wait.
2019.
Wait, so this is Professor.
It's the first 1 out of your 5 years.
This is the worst exam in my entire life.
Professor.
5 years.
You know what I heard? Because someone had your class before and he told me you don't know how to use calculators. That's why you're not teaching us how to use calculators. Someone that took your class before, he said you don't know how to use calculators. That's why you don't teach us, right?
That's what I'm telling you. Be the calculator. I'm going to teach you.
But you don't know how to use it. But you don't know how to use it.
Fine.
You still have to learn it.
Are you posting an answer key?
No, you're going to do it by yourself. Find the solution, and then at the end, I'm going to do whether they have to not. Ellie's
Oh, 44.
past 5 minutes. We still have time to, so try this week, and then I'm gonna try,
Oh, yo.
and then I'm gonna,
What's wrong with you, bro? Why are you laughing? I'm gonna put this
Alexander. Hey,
I went from a 90 straight up to like that.
Oh, my God, you got a 40. You're not lying. Now, what you got?
I don't know.
Yo, I passed.
You actually.
Yo,
I think they might have had one.
yo,
Hey, what's the math? No. What? 6 years of math?
yo, I got the second highest. Wait, so, am I like one of the 3 people that passed?
That's my first one.
So 3 people. Oh my God, yo, I'm goated. Bro, no way you
Actually, it's
Yo.
Go, bro. I got 60. You're at 56.
Ah,
Louis,
ah,
We'll give them the first 2.
yo, you fucking suck.
Oh, no.
Yo, get ego.
you started very well.
Yo, get ego.
You started very well.
I know. Because, like, you know what I did? I erased all my answers.
Oh.
And I did it back again. That's why I was taking so long. I was missing my sleep. I didn't get to study. I was so busy with that.
Now,
Yo, goated.
okay,
I'm very good.
give another week. So,
Okay,
I'm
guap.
gonna study this time.
Who guap?
You know what I didn't understand was a fraction. Like,
the question, I'm gonna just,
Yo,
The numbers.
one of the 3 people that passed. I'm low-key goated.
oh,
it's
you gotta
not
think,
actually.
bro. You gotta think.
No stuff.
At least not higher than your last time, bro.
At least you got higher than your one.
Oh, no, that's not, oh, shit. Okay, that's
I'm not doing it again. I'm not studying for this, bro.
Alright, let's not.
Okay, I'm just going to do it all.
No,